Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to rise today to address the motion put forward by the Member of Parliament for New Westminster, Coquitlam and Port Moody. And I'd like to say I'll be splitting my time with the member from Mississauga East, Cooksville. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I urge the NDP to work with our government to improve the well-being of Canada's veterans and their families. Now, we understand the need to provide those who have bravely served our nation in uniform with the supports that they need to transition to civilian life. Our recently announced increased benefits and services are evidence of our commitment to ensuring that Canadian veterans and their families are treated with care, compassion, and respect. It is through these new measures, which are included in Economic Action Plan 2015, that we are demonstrating the importance we place on being there for our brave men and women when they need us most. Now, these new benefits and services that we are proposing take significant strides in improving the new Veterans Charter. We are moving to better support families and caregivers, those who play such vital roles in the transition process. We are respecting reservists. And the Purpose Clause in Division 17 of Bill C-59, the Economic Action Plan 2015 Act, that my colleagues have discussed, demonstrates our government's duty and commitment to our veterans, an ongoing commitment, Mr. Speaker. Now, I encourage all colleagues to listen to the debate today and to recognize the measures that our government is introducing and recognize that those measures will enhance the lives of those who have served our nation. It's not about supporting those who have served. It's also about supporting their families. Now, we recognize the vital role that the families play in the lives of the men and women in uniform, and how veterans' health issues can impact those who also stand by their side. Now, we understand the important role those who stand beside Canada's veterans play in their recovery and their well-being. With that said, I'd like to highlight the action we've taken to support families and caregivers. We recognize that the family caregivers of Canada's veterans play a large part in a supporting role in providing those who have served with the care they need, the care they deserve. Which is why I'm pleased to tell you about a new benefit that our government has introduced to help relieve some of the burden facing families of those who are severely injured. A serious physical or mental injury not only causes immense challenges for the serviceman or woman, but it causes serious stress and strain on their family. So our government has proposed a new family caregiver relief benefit to provide an annual tax-free grant of $7,238. Family members who help with the care of our most seriously injured veterans can have the added flexibility to get relief during times of added stress to the family, or even help them recharge their batteries if that's what needs to happen. Today, Veterans Affairs already pays for in-home medical care for our most severely injured veterans. This funding will be in addition to other VAC benefits already in place to support veterans' daily needs. It's a recognition of their sacrifice, the sacrifice of the families. It tops it up just a little bit, makes things just a little bit easier, Mr. Speaker. Now, this benefit is for the caregivers in the home, the spouses, common law partners, parents or adult children who often try to juggle raising children or juggling family duties alongside assisting their injured loved ones. Their own careers are often sidetracked or reduced, and often their own health and wellness can be impacted when you have an injured veteran at home. Now, this new benefit recognizes their important work and provides them with a little extra flexibility. This funding could be used for relief options such as covering the cost of having a professional caregiver come in the home, or cover the cost for another family member or friend to travel to the veteran's home. And it would be provided in addition to other benefits already in place to support veterans' health care needs. It's a supplement, Mr. Speaker. We believe this will make a tremendous difference for these families. This recently announced benefit is not the only action we have taken in support of veterans, Mr. Speaker. Last year, we announced an increase in the number of psychological counseling sessions for families of veterans from 8 to 20 sessions. We've also invested in research to help us gain a better understanding of the impact operational stress injuries, such as post-traumatic stress disorder, have on the mental health of spouses and the children of Canadian veterans. Post-traumatic stress disorder and other mental injuries have effect on the whole family, not just the injured veteran. Research such as this will help us get a better handle on the complex challenges facing today's veterans, their spouses, and their children when it comes to their mental health and their mental well-being. And we want to identify possible next steps in this area. And we announced we will develop and implement the veteran-specific mental health first aid training across the country for both veterans and their families. Now, this will provide the family and caregivers of veterans with the literacy training they need to support their loved ones in a time of crisis. And it will do this by teaching them about mental health conditions, training them about the signs and symptoms of common mental health disorders, providing them the opportunity to practice crisis first aid for those with mental health conditions, ensuring that they will know where and when and how to get help, and provide education on what type of help has been shown to be effective in their situation and why that help has been effective, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, this is some of the action our government has taken to honor our commitment, not only to members of the Canadian Armed Forces and veterans, but also steps we are taking to support their families as well. Now, I'm disappointed to see the NDP once again is playing their political games when our government has been unprecedented in the investments that we have made in improving the well-being of Canadian veterans and those families, family members, and caregivers who stand by the side of those injured veterans. I urge all members of this House to vote in favor of our new measures that our government is introducing in support of veterans and their families. It is by taking action and passing these measures that we will demonstrate our commitment and our duty to providing those who have bravely served our nation and to help all those in need, both the veterans and the families that stand behind them and beside them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments? Questions et commentaires. The honorable député d'Abitibi-Témiscamingue.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Ce que j'aimerais savoir de la part de mon collègue, c'est si il considère que la réalité du terrain est aussi extrêmement importante pour comprendre la situation des vétérans, des militaires, et est-ce qu'on ne devrait pas tenir compte du fait que plusieurs d'entre eux ont dit que c'était très difficile et que souvent ils avaient l'impression d'être obligés de se battre pour finalement réussir à obtenir les services et qui passaient à travers un long processus qui leur causait quelquefois encore plus de douleur, si on peut dire, psychologique que l'événement en lui-même. Et en prenant en considération cela, est-ce qu'on ne devrait pas continuer à essayer de faire des efforts pour améliorer le processus à lequel ils vont demander de l'aide et faire en sorte que ça va être plus facile pour eux, considérant ce qu'ils ont vécu comme expérience?
Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Employment.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the member opposite for her question. I absolutely agree that we need to make sure that Veterans Affairs Canada makes the process for gaining benefits for veterans clear, simple, and easy to apply for. And I think the minister has been very, very clear at the steps he is taking, the personal steps he is taking to make sure every veteran in this country has the ability to access the benefits that are due to them. We're not only expanding the breadth and the seriousness about the benefits that we are putting in place to support veterans, but we're also making changes to make sure any forms that have to be filled out, any phone calls they have to make, any online applications that they endeavor to take part in are easy and they have support in doing that. We need to make sure our veterans have the ability not only to get this large amount of benefits that our government's providing for them, but we are working to make sure those veterans have the ease of application and that those benefits are readily available to them. Thank you.
Questions and comments? Questions et commentaires. The honourable member for Winnipeg North.
Mr. Speaker, I do think that it's important that we recognize that what the government actually has done is it has closed a number of offices in different regions of the country. For example, Corner Brook, Newfoundland and Labrador, Charlottetown and PEI, Sydney and Nova Scotia, Windsor in Ontario, Thunder Bay in Ontario, Brandon in my home province of Manitoba, Saskatoon in Saskatchewan, Kelowna in British Columbia, and Prince George in British Columbia. My question to the member is, I'm wondering if he could provide some comment in regards to why he believes the government found it necessary to close those veteran offices, given there's a big difference than talking on the telephone to someone versus being able to meet face-to-face with an individual, something in which, Mr. Speaker, that these offices did on virtually a daily basis.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Employment.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the member opposite for his question. Just before I answer it, though, I'd like to say in 2005, when his party was in power, the budget for Veterans Affairs was about $2.8 billion. Since our government has taken power, we continue to increase that budget. 90% of the benefits go to veterans, and now that budget has reached over $3.6 billion. We are standing up and supporting veterans far better than his party ever did when they were in power. I can tell you that, Mr. Speaker. As far as offices closed, now my riding in Cumberland, Colchester, and Musquodoboit Valley, we didn't have a Veterans Affairs office. Veterans in my riding had to either drive all the way down to Halifax if they were in Colchester County, over an hour to get to a Veterans Affairs office, or if they were in the northern part of the riding, they actually had to leave the province and drive all the way up to Moncton. That was the closest Veterans Affairs office to them. Now we have put trained staff into the Service Canada office, so Veterans Affairs can provide services to veterans in my riding in both Amherst and Truro. So veterans can go into their hometown or close to their hometown and get service directly without having to travel hours and hours. This is the same situation, Mr. Speaker, takes place all across the country. We have 600 new points of service for veterans to go into, veterans who are, especially ones older, who served in Korea, who may have served in the Second World War. They have mobility issues. It's harder for them to travel like they used to. Now they can get those services in Service Canada close to home, Mr. Speaker.